after the Warriors get a, 114-83 victory over the Indiana Pacers at Chase Center on Sunday night. Man, I tell you what, so the Warriors win a game by 31, and you think, oh, wow, great win, fantastic, must have played great. That's probably the worst 31-point win you've ever seen in your life in any NBA game. The first 2.5 to 3 quarters of that game were just downright disgraceful. I tweeted out, I feel bad for any fan that paid legal tender to go to that game for the first 2.5, 3 quarters, because it was ugly on both sides really struggling offensively. Indiana with all their guys out, like obviously Hallie's out, Siakam out too, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, like whoever else you want to name. They had like 10 guys out. Like I'm looking at these, even the Quentin Jackson, who obviously went off last week or whatever it was, and went for 25 and 10 against the Warriors in Indiana. He was out as well. So just all these guys out for the Pacers, and yet they still had a 1-point lead with, I think, less than 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And you are wondering what on earth is possibly going on here. And fortunately, Jimmy Butler kind of finally took over, finished with 21, 9, and 7, and got things rolling for the Warriors. And from that point where the Pacers led, I think 62-61 at some point, again, with less than 5 minutes to go in the third, the Warriors finished the game on a 53-21 run, basically over the final 16, 17 minutes. So a good result in the end. Was it great? No, it was not a good game of basketball whatsoever. I don't think it's a memorable one that will be keeping in the time capsule. But after 2 straight losses, after losing 5 of the last 6, sometimes you just need to win a game. And the good news is that Steph Curry should be back for Tuesday night's matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder, where the Warriors are going to have to play a whole lot better than that if they want to get a win over clearly the championship favorites right now and the best team in the Western Conference based through the first 10, 11 games of the season. Let's get into some of your comments. Then Nick says, before we talk about Golden State, are you excited for the Ashes? Because I am. I still think Australia will win, because you guys always do. I just hope it's close and not trashing like previous years. Okay, we'll talk cricket for 2 seconds. I think it's actually going to be a little bit I'm not as confident as what most Australians would be, but history would suggest we don't usually lose on home soil, or we haven't done for 15, 16 years now. So, yes, I think we should win, but I think the batting lineups of both teams are going to be severely tested. But, yes, that's all I'll have my comments to say on the cricket and the Ashes, which I'm looking forward to coming up here in less than 2 weeks' time. Empire says, Buddy needs to retire. Man, the Buddy Hield minutes... Jeez, like, I don't know, man. I want to talk. Can I talk about a bit more positively? Will Richard. How Will Richard is not getting like on-court minutes before Buddy Hield, I don't know. Like, Will Richard's just flat out better than Buddy Hield right now. And again, doesn't get into this game until the second quarter, like midway through the second quarter, and then just does his thing as he's doing, and he has been doing over the past few games. And really, for the majority of his NBA career to date, through the first, now there's been 11 games, he was a DNP in 2. So Will Richard should be in the rotation before Buddy Hield. I think that's facts. At least it's just taking Steve some time. I think Steve was like, all right, took me a while to get to this situation where I know I need to play Will Richard over Gary Payton II, and he's finally come to that realization. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I probably should do it with Buddy Hield, but because I've just done it with GP2, I can't do both straight away. I just need to chill a little bit. So we're still seeing Buddy Hield out on the floor before Will Richard, which I think everyone would see right now the impact that Will Richard's making. And I think it's impossible to argue that Buddy Hield should be playing more minutes and be entering an NBA game before Will Richard right now. So the Buddy stuff is just not good. Not only is he playing for his spot in the rotation right now, in my opinion, he's also playing for his spot on the team, because he has a $9.2 million contract for this season, which could very easily be moved, I think, for an upgrade of some kind. What this team needs, based on today's performance, you need a lot because it wasn't great. Another dynamic scorer would be nice. You're not necessarily getting one of those with just Buddy Hield's salary, obviously. Kaminga, I've already seen on the timeline. He's had a couple of woeful games in a row, it must be said. And I'm a JK fan. I've been impressed with what he's done through the majority of the season to date. I'm not going to hide away from the fact that his last 2 games have been absolutely horrific. This one was awful. He basically subbed out midway through the third quarter and didn't come back. Brutal, harsh call based on how important he's been so far this season. Was it the right call? Absolutely. He was playing terribly. And then as soon as he leaves the game, the Warriors just essentially end the game on a 53-21 run. So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of talk about, hey, Jonathan Kaminga, Buddy Hield, that's $30 million in contracts that you could potentially use in a trade. But let's talk more about this game, I suppose. Then next is our third quarter was good. Didn't see that coming. Well, it was late third. The fourth was even better because the fourth, I think, was 39-18 or something like that. So the fourth quarter was good. I mean, the fact it took until late third to over, like, look at this team that the Pacers have got. Like, Andrew Nembhard is their only like legit guy who's playing. Ben Shepherd, Isaiah Jackson, Jay Huff, Jarris Walker, Cody Martin's on a 10-day, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Tony Bradley, Monte Morris. Like, come on, guys. The fact it took till the end of the third quarter for the Warriors to show their talent differential is flat out concerning, to be honest, but they get the win in the end. Lon the Third says, door dashing right now. What a win. Should have won by this many last time too. Yeah, like, obviously that loss and the Bucks loss back to back was horrific, and I keep looking at it. It's just so many what ifs right now with the fact we're 6-5, which feels like a disappointing spot to be in given those 2 losses, given we probably should be 8-3, I would have thought, at least. Even you look at that Kings matchup, could have easily won that. I don't know. The only losses so far that you'd say, yep, they got outplayed significantly was the Portland one on the second night of a back-to-back and third and 4 nights, which was understandable. And then the Nuggets obviously just smacked us in the NBA Cup on Friday. Like, that's fair enough. Aside from that, the Warriors probably should have won all, their remaining 3 losses, and this is the stuff that's going to come back to bite them at the end of the season. So, yeah, that Pacers and Bucks back-to-back, well, it wasn't a back-to-back, but 2 in 3 days that could come back to hurt. Then Nick says, we are 5-0 at home. It reminds me of the 23 season when we were good at home and sucked on the road. It's still early, and we've got the 6-game road trip coming, so yeah, you'd want to go at least 500 on that stretch, I think, although there's some tough games in there, obviously starting with the Thunder on Tuesday. Then Nick says, I feel like we started playing through Jimmy, and that's what we need to do when Steph isn't playing. Correct. Very much, yeah, very much so. I feel like, and I know a lot of fans are complaining about this on social media. It's like Steve still tries to play Steph Curry ball when Steph Curry's not actually on the floor, like running all these plays, all these split actions and stuff like that. When if Steph's not out there and you don't have the gravity that he provides you, then you are probably best off just saying, okay, well, what's our next best option? It's Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy, in some of these games, like, again, in the first 2.5 quarters of this game, in Friday's game against the Nuggets, feels like he can be, he's like a high-end role player. And it's like, hang on, it's Jimmy Butler. This is a guy we expect to be like an all-star caliber player. Can he just take over for us, please? Like, can he take over for us? And part of it might be Jimmy and some responsibility on him and imparting his presence on the game. But I also think part of it is Steve Kerr and basically running too many things, which doesn't necessarily get Jimmy Butler in the best positions to succeed. And I think it took them until late third there to decide, all right, let's just give Jimmy Butler the ball and let him go to work. And the Warriors got what they wanted out of that. Jimmy got to the rim. Jimmy kicked it out for open shooters. So he finishes with 21, 9, and 7. Positive performance. And they run away with it in the second half. Sandecker also says, Willie's good. He might be the steal of the draft. Yeah, he would be at this point. Cedric Coward might have an argument to make that as well. But yeah, to have this guy who's the 56th overall pick coming in and playing like this, he has another, 15 points in 19 minutes. I can't believe he's not playing more, to be honest. And he doesn't make a 3 in this game, man. I cannot believe and I spoke about this on the Patreon the other day, I think. Like, he just puts himself into position to succeed. Like, they were saying on the broadcast, I was shooting over 60% from the floor this season. It's because he doesn't take bad shots. And when he does, he actually kind of makes them. Like, he had that one, I think it was early fourth quarter, that step back mid-range jump shot, which is a shot he normally like goes into the step back and he'll kick it out because he's like, I don't want to take that shot within the flow of the offense. Like, it's not really the shot Steve Kerr wants me to take. But he took one at the start of the fourth quarter and it was butter. Like, it was like, okay, is that really the shot? No, but did it look confident? Did it go in? Yes. So that's the thing. He's just got so many. He's very versatile. He obviously plays both ends of the floor. He can stick an open three. He just moves so well off the ball. He cuts so well. He gets to the free throw line 8 times and makes 7 in this game. Right? He showed that little like isolation step back mid range. Like, yeah, he should be playing more. And it makes unfortunately, Buddy Hield great for the vibes. Hero of Game 7 against the Rockets in the first round last season. Makes Buddy Hield expendable as a contract, particularly when you're going to welcome back to Anthony Melton, particularly when you're looking at potentially re-signing Seth Curry. Are you guaranteed to re-sign Seth Curry? Because if Will Richards just going to be this, then what's the point of Seth Curry to a degree? I don't know. Maybe this team does need more shooting. In fairness, they go 12 of 44 in this game, 27.3%. And if you take out Horford, again, big positive in this game because there was rising concerns, I suppose, over his form and impact on this team. He entered the game shooting 20.8% from three-point range, and he goes 4 of 6 in this game, I think 3 of which came in the second half. Him and Quentin Post, again, Post only shot 2 of 7 from deep, 4 of 10 from the field overall, but I thought Post was excellent as well. 14 points, 8 rebounds, a couple of assists, beautiful feed to Buddy on a cutting layup in the first half. So I thought the center minutes there from those two guys were excellent, particularly after the last game they played together was obviously that loss in Sacramento where they shot 0 of 13 from the floor combined in a 5-point loss. You get a couple of baskets from them there, you win the game. So I think Steve Kerr was vindicated for his comments on Al Horford after that loss to the Kings, where he basically said, look, he played a great game, and everyone's kind of like, well, did he? He was 0 of 8 from the floor. I'm not sure that's a great game, but maybe Steve knew what was coming and basically saying, look, he's playing the right way. He's playing the right way. He's playing hard. It's Al Horford. The shot will begin to fall. He's not going to continue shooting 20.8% from 3-point range for the season, and obviously misses Friday's game against the Nuggets, comes straight back out, bang, 4 or 6 from 3-point range. The tide's beginning to turn in terms of the 3 ball there. Then Decker says, missed Empire's comment, Buddy, GP2, Pods, and JK have to be traded. This roster needs to shake up. How are Post and Will the most consistent role players on the team? Well, I'm not sure Post is that consistent either. I feel like Richard's been one of the more consistent players. Like, even but got blown out the other night by Denver, and I thought Richard was still actually one of the bigger positives from that game. And obviously he goes for 30 against the Kings. The fact that he goes for 30 against the Kings, I know, like, you're without Jimmy, you're without Draymond, you bring those guys back, but the fact that it's taken until midway through the second quarter of the next 2 games for him to see the floor, it's like, what are we doing here? He should be almost pushing for a starting role. That's how well he's playing. Let alone, like, we're not seeing him until late in the first half, essentially. In terms of the trades up there, I think Kaminga, Buddy are definitely, because that's $30 million combined. Pods, I'm not sure if the Warriors are going to give up on just yet, albeit he's going through a rough stretch, it must be said. GP2, he's on a minimum, so okay, maybe if it has to be included to get there, but he also has no value. It's like including Lindy Waters in the Jimmy Butler trade last season, to be fair. Then next is, if we trade Buddy and JK, who can we get? I know Warrior fans, certainly you're looking at Trey Murphy after his 41-point game yesterday. That's probably the ideal situation you would imagine, but we'll wait and see what happens with the Pelicans. They're certainly not going to have any interest in Kaminga, I wouldn't have thought. But they are in a bit of a disastrous situation. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be trading Trey Murphy, but if they continue to lose at the rate they are, then maybe. Empire says Buddy is so trash that he probably isn't even tradable, or you'll get back for Buddy as a middle finger. I do think, well, obviously, when I'm talking about trading Buddy Hield, it's like, okay, no, like, you obviously have to add picks. Like, for example, if the Mavericks ever wanted to kind of recoup draft assets and thought that Derek Lively's injury concerns were too much, would you give up Buddy Hield to get Derek Lively and Dwight Powell for example, because that's how the contracts work there. And then obviously give up 2 first-round picks, maybe. I don't know. I feel like Derek Lively's value is probably diminishing a little bit due to his injury concerns and stuff like that. But that feels like a trade to me, which is interesting. Do the Warriors need something else in terms of, well, if Post and Horford are going to play like this, they don't necessarily need another center, but can they get this production from those two guys on a consistent basis? Do they need another big? Do they need an upgrade from TJD? Do they need another go-to scorer? But again, those go-to scorers aren't usually available for Buddy Hield's contract at $9.2 million. They're more expensive than that. So do they therefore have to trade Kaminga? How much value does Kaminga and Hield have together? The one thing I would say about Buddy, and I've said it before, is that he has 2 more years on his deal, but only $3 million of that is guaranteed. So he's almost an expiring contract, which makes him a little bit more valuable, obviously. Who used boy says, I couldn't watch the game, but how did JK look? Got 8 boards, but couldn't score the ball. It was very, very rough offensively. Again, his rebounding was fine. A couple of those boards came from him, like put back attempts where he just missed layups quite significantly. Just feels like he's going back into a little bit more of what we've seen previously in terms of the shot diet and the shot selection. Like, and they said it on the broadcast, I think he got fouled by Jay Huff or someone on like one of his first shot attempts in the first quarter, which was like a step back, mid-range jump shot. And Fitz and Kalena were like, okay, he got fouled. He got kind of bailed out on it. He's going on the free throw line, but that's not the shot the Warriors want him to take. You want him to take wide open threes, or you want everything going downhill at the rim. You don't want him taking step backs. You don't like it. Just the shot selection in this game wasn't there whatsoever. I think he missed 5 threes. So he took 5 threes out of 9 attempts. That's not ideal to begin with. And then all 5, to me, maybe like 1 or 2 were wide open. You're like, okay, yep, that's fair enough. You shoot those ones. But aside from that, wasn't like a few of them were like contested ones where you're like, you got to try and find something better than that. Cornelius says, Pods got to be benched. We need Melton and Seth bad. The ball shot with Pods. He didn't cut, can't shoot, can't guard on ball offense. Just looks crazy when he runs it. In fairness, he was better as the Warriors were in the fourth. He had that air ball in the third, and it was like, whoa, this is like really bad, really bad. But if you look at the numbers, 14 points, 6 rebounds, and assists, couple of steals. He plays a team high. So despite all the struggles, he still plays a team high nearly 32 minutes. And he's a plus 22 in the game in the end, and was a decent part of what the Warriors did in the final 16 minutes of that game. So when you say bench, like, I think he's still, like, he's going to be, when Steph comes back, he's going to be floating in and out of the starting line. I'm super fascinated with what they do on Tuesday against the Thunder, because I wouldn't be shocked if Moody is a starter against Shea on Tuesday. And they go Steph. I think they have to start Post. I wouldn't be surprised if they go Steph, Moody, Jimmy, Dre, Post, and Pods and Kaminga are both out on Tuesday. Now, they could still start Kaminga over Moody. Maybe they do that. I think against a Thunder defense, one, you need a little bit more spacing that Moody provides you. And I also think, would you prefer Moody or Kaminga in the Shea matchup? And I think I'd prefer Moody. But we'll wait and see. Does Steve make that call? I don't know. Moody had that big 4-point play, which kind of, when he hit that 3 and was fouled in the 4-point play, that felt huge, because to that level of the game, or to that time of the game, offense was so hard to come by. But like a 4-point play felt like a 10-point play, and I think the margin went from 6 to 10 in that one instance, and it was right at the end of the third quarter. And then it was like, okay, all right, now we're cooking a little bit. Now we'll be right, because that, and it just provided some energy and some spark as well, because that was a completely broken play. The Warriors looked like they had nothing going, and then Moses has to put up a prayer, essentially like a step back three from the corner, an absolute prayer over Monte Morris, and he gets fouled and he drains it. And that was, I think from that point on, that was a sigh of relief, because it was like, all right, we should go on and win this game comfortably now, because that's a fairly big play and provides a bit of energy that just felt like we needed, because obviously to that point the game was uncomfortably close against such a Pacers team that was so decimated. Then next is we got a lot of free throws today. We never get that much when Steph plays. Kind of that kind of game, I suppose. Didn't make the most of it. 26 of 37, just 70%. Kaminga missed 3 of his. Butler even missed. Butler goes 1 of 4 from the free throw line. Jimmy Butler, cheapest. But again, Will Richards, 7 of 8. Thanks for coming. Robbie says, if the Warriors don't want to lose too many picks, then John Collins would be nice. I'm a JK fan, but even his best right now, he doesn't fit the lineups well. I'm not sure John Collins is an upgrade on Jonathan Kaminga. Let's put it that way. Cornelius says, we good with the centers we got. We need some backup point guards who can actually run the offense and make shots on the second unit. I tend to agree with that, but I think second unit stuff, you should just be running it through Jimmy like you did towards the end of the third quarter and early fourth quarter of this game. Run it through Jimmy. That should be your second unit offense. And obviously the rest is when Steph is out there. And like some of these struggles aren't surprising. Like you're missing your franchise superstar, best player in franchise history, who the offense revolves around. Like, and it's hard to and we've spent so long. We've spent 4 years saying like a lot of people saying Jonathan Kaminga can't play with Steph Curry. He doesn't fit into a Steph Curry system. Part of me wonders if the last 2 games and Kaminga's real struggles in the last 2 games are because Steph's not there. And he's gone from trying to, and successfully, it must be said, fitting in, playing alongside Steph, to now Steph's not there. And it's like, okay, now I need to transition into being the man again. And he's kind of trying to force it too much. That, I don't know, maybe I'm willing to give Kaminga a little bit of leniency and say, hang on, he's actually better with Steph on the floor, which is something we've kind of always considered, that he's not a great teammate for Steph Curry, but maybe he's actually developed into that. And when you take Steph away from him, as you do with so many players, they begin to struggle a little bit. And again, he kind of has been forcing things the last couple of games. Empire says, if Warriors beat OKC and Spurs, does that mean that the losses to the lower level teams were just a lack of effort and that we don't actually suck? Yes, there's definitely, and particularly for an aging veteran squad, there's certainly a part of this where you play down or up to your opposition all the time. Like, it's just a mental thing more than anything. And I think that was no doubt the case against the Bucks and the pace, like the Bucks once Giannis is out, and then Indiana. I think there's no doubt about that. Very, very disappointing, but I think you will hopefully see increase, particularly with Steph back, where I thought on Friday against Denver, that was just, totally a mismatch, really. Like, just not even close from a talent standpoint, and the effort lacked as well. But I think when you know you're going to struggle to match things from a talent standpoint, it can be very easy to pack it in sometimes and just be like, this is not going to be our night anyway. What's the point, essentially? And I thought we saw some of that on Friday against Denver. But with Steph back, at least you'll go into the game thinking, all right, we've got our 2-time MVP back. If we play hard, we're a legitimate chance of winning this game. And I actually think historically we match up pretty well with the Thunder. Like, we beat them early last season there. I think, I'm not going in. It's going to be difficult, but I'm not going into that game without a hope, particularly if, I think if the Warriors were playing a better team today, I don't know if that would have made a difference. Like, if the Warriors were playing OKC today, would Steph have played? Maybe. I think they probably saw Indiana's injury report and said, you know what, we should really win this game without Steph. Let's give him another night off. Ozzy and Desar. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Pods took an insane amount of attempts. He was 4 of 11, 1 of 6 from 3. You'd say he took a lot of 3-point attempts. But the Warriors, Moody took 9, only drew 3. Post took 7. Post was just letting it fly early. I think he missed his. He missed his first 2, and his second one got blocked by Jay Huff, and then he took his third one. I was like, man, this guy is like absolutely ringing him up, and fortunately he made his third one, and then I think he might have made his fourth from the corner too. Decker says that air ball from Pods was crazy. Cornerless says the ball stopped moving when Pod's in the game. You don't see it. Pods don't let Jimmy run if he's starting to remind me of Poole getting the big head. Yes, there are times where, the ball doesn't move how you like. Even the fact that in that fourth quarter he got kind of stuck in the corner and then he was forced to take a timeout. And it's like that's not ideal. It's as Fitz and Clennis said on the broadcast, better than trying to force something out of that and having a turnover. So whatever, you take the time out. But I think you are right. There is some stagnation with Pods sometimes, and he gets away with some stuff. I think there's no doubt he gets away with some stuff that young Warrior guys in the past few years, young Warrior teammates haven't necessarily, in terms of the short leash of Moody and Kaminga and stuff like that. And even the Richard stuff right now is, I mean, you can say, oh, well, he's a 56 overall pick and he's getting decent-ish minutes, like he's playing another 20 minutes in this game. But the way he's playing, I'm like, man, he should be playing more. Now, there's no reason why Buddy Hield should be playing, more minutes, or which he did in this game, 17 seconds more than Will Richard, or coming off the bench first. Like, Buddy Hield was the sixth man in this game, ahead of Moody, ahead of Richard. Now, Moody ends up playing more minutes, which is good, but the Buddy, it's like Steve thinks, well, you get the good with Buddy and you get the bad with Buddy. We're going through the bad with Buddy right now. I know if I persist with him, I'm going to get the good from him, and maybe he's right. And I think that's kind of epitomizes Buddy Hield's career. Maybe you just got to play through it. But, man, not pretty. Not pretty stuff with Buddy Hield. Empire says, can an NBA team call a players currently in college to play with them? No, I don't think that's a thing. Who are you referencing? Who's playing in college that you want to call up? Robbie says, Kaminga is just pressuring himself to make shots and Steph isn't there. Just looks like JK from the past. I think I agree. I actually want to see what Kaminga looks like when Steph comes back. Meep says, for real, your Pods doesn't know when to let go of the ball. Yeah. It was, again, rough from him. He bounced back a little bit in the fourth quarter, and I think Steve's just going to continue to play him. Again, you look at the plus minus. He's a equal game high, plus 22 in this game. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's all disastrous. And part of the stuff with him is just, again, like, if you're going to proclaim yourself to be a star player, then we need to see it, particularly when nights when Steph's not there. And what we've seen over the last 3 games without Steph is a guy who can still be a high-end role player, a 20 to 25 minute, potentially up to 30-minute rotation player on some nights. Is he a star? No, I don't think we've seen anything over the last 3 games to suggest that. Kaminga, same could be said, albeit I thought his first half against the Kings was at least like, okay, yeah, this guy's taken over. But we don't see it with Pod, and that's part of the problem. And if we just look through it with a lens of this guy's a high-end role player and a guy that can average 20, 25 minutes for you, that's fine. If we start looking at through the lens that he's pushed, which is, I'm a future all-star in this league, I can take the torch after Steph, I could be the white Shohei Ohtani, like, all right, well, then we're disappointed, right? And so part of this is his responsibility and fault, and he's got to wear that, and he's just got to be better. Cornelius says, I'd rather Buddy than Pods. At least the ball moves with Buddy. No, I think I disagree with that. I think Pods does a lot more on the floor than Buddy does. If Buddy's shot isn't falling, I'm not sure what he's necessarily bringing to you. So, Empire. Yes, you can't do that. Anyway, I'm not sure if I've got too much. It was just not a great game. It was 31. You win by 31 points, and it just wasn't overly positive. But I suppose Horford, big tick there. Jimmy taking over down the stretch, big tick there. Again, I thought the post minutes were pretty good. I think the Warriors, and I guess against the Thunder with the Chet Hartenstein combination, we'll see the Warriors play a traditional center. I just want them to go away from Draymond center minutes as much as possible. I didn't even think Draymond played well in this game. 3 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers for Draymond in 24 and a half minutes. Kaminga again was awful. So ticks for Jimmy, ticks for Post, ticks for Horford, ticks for Will Richard. And that's it from this game. Everyone else, pretty mediocre, I would suggest. So the Warriors are going to have to play a lot better to beat the Thunder, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday night. I think I'm going to finish it up there, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks to those of you that have commented. I will certainly be back for a live stream after that game on Tuesday night again. Hoping the Warriors can put up a good fight with Steph back and hopefully pull out a win. Again, the history against OKC, I think, is actually pretty good. We match up fairly well against them. Obviously, Jalen Williams is out at the moment for them, which is a big thing. Cornelis says, give Will, Pods, and Buddy's minutes. I think certainly you could give him Buddy's minutes. Buddy's got to be close to the edge of the rotation and not playing at all, particularly when Melton comes back. Robbie says, if the Warriors traded JK and Buddy for PJ Washington and Lively, I think the defense would be much better. It's a good trade. It's a decent trade, I would have thought. PJ Washington, the numbers with PJ Washington as a three-point shooter are like not great, but he feels like a far bigger three-point threat than Kaminga, obviously. And then Lively, I still think there's times where the Warriors could do with a legitimate rim protector, although I thought Horford and Post did fairly well in that aspect. And Horford and Post in particular is, I think, improving significantly in that aspect. Like, PJ Washington is a career 35.6% three-point shooter. Like, he's not this lights-out guy. But he was 38.1% last season. He's 27.5% so far this season. But the shooting numbers in Dallas, I would take absolutely no anything in that at all so far this season, because they are playing without the Clay stuff is awful. And I've said this before recently on this podcast. Like, I feel for Clay because he's in such a bad situation. And now he's been moved back to the bench. And I don't think it's really his fault. He went there thinking that he was going to play with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and now he's got neither of them for the moment. Obviously, they'll get Kyrie back at some point, but that is so tough. And so any three-point shooting numbers for Clay, PJ Washington, I'm not taking anything into it whatsoever so far through the first 11 games for the Mavericks, where they're 3-8, are they? Or are they 3-7? Whatever they are, they're pretty horrific. All right, guys, I'm going to finish it up there. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POC252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. Please check out the Patreon if you haven't already. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Golden State with Mates, as well, where I'll have a couple of clips from this live stream. Other than that, look forward to doing it again on Tuesday against the Thunder, and appreciate you guys.